Here you go. So now you guys will be famous because you'll be on my recording. All right. So before we start, just a little FYI, the homework videos, the AP videos that you have due either tomorrow or Friday will help you with this because it goes over ideology of parties. It goes over how ideology impacts legislation. So I know if you're the cartoons, for the videos, yeah. So if you were in class today, I know you just got that homework, so you probably didn't do it yet. But just keep in mind, make sure you as you prepare for it, those videos will help. Okay, so just a reminder that this is a because statement FRQ. We haven't done those in a while. I know, and I said this yesterday, all of you who've been in English at all in your life, you know not to start sentences with because, but AP Gov is sort of rebellious, I guess. So you want to restate the thesis with the because, then it statement. So I'll give you an example here. This does not have to be the model you follow, okay? You do not have to follow this model. But I think if you are stuck tomorrow or Friday, you're like, I don't know what my statement can be. This, if you think back to this, it may help. So because an increase in minimum wage would, right, what would it do, right? It would be supported by whether that's Republicans, Democrats, or it would not be supported by right? So think, what would an increase in minimum wage do as far as it impacts an ideology, and therefore why would a group support it or not support it? Okay, so just remember to come in with a because/it statement. Once again, this does not have to be the model you follow, but if you're stuck, this would be helpful. Okay, so in order to practice, I would look and think what's going on with minimum wage today. If you know that, it's going to put you in the right current context to both understand the ideologies, maybe understand the examples that brings you in the question. So I attached 2 links here, which you guys can look up on your own. You can use other links instead of these ones. This is Politico, right? I don't need to go over the different biases of all news agencies. They exist. Right now, if you saw Biden's town hall, was that last Tuesday, I think, on CNN? He gave all the reasons why he does support a minimum wage increase to $15. This article, however, is from the 18th. So like right after then, and he's privately telling governors. So it's not like he's not making this public, that he says it's probably not happening. Doesn't mean it's not happening someday, but not yet, right? With all the different things we have going on. Now keep in mind, federal minimum wage is different than state minimum wage, okay? 2 different things. So some states have a minimum wage that is much higher than the current federal minimum wage. All right, that's important to know. So his proposed minimum wage wage hike was unlikely to happen. Just the high, yes, right? So in other words, if New Jersey's, and I don't even remember what New Jersey's is. If New Jersey's is $14 and the federal wage is $7, and you're working in New Jersey, you're going to get the $14. Yeah. And I don't think any, I could be wrong, I don't think any state minimum wage can be lower than the federal minimum wage, because that wouldn't make any sense, right? Because you have to at least hit the federal minimum wage. So, from his first major legislative package, right? So this is part of the big thing he's putting through, right? You don't need to read this word for word. I would look through this, maybe see other articles. What is going on in the news today with minimum wage, right? And what are each parties wanting? Then, what other legislation in Congress has there been? So I have another article here. You can look up and find this article. Once again, CNBC, try to think what perspective they'd be coming from. But there's other articles you can find. So this is from January 26th. So this is fairly current. Democrats reintroduced $15 minimum wage bill with unified control of Congress. So now that Democrats have Congress, they're like, okay, maybe we can get this passed. Now, since it looks like Biden is not so sure, okay, and it gives you some key points here. Democrats reintroduce the Raise the Wage Act. Notice reintroduce the Raise the Wage Act. That's really hard to say, raise the wage. It's like a tongue twister. This has been introduced previously in our history. You may want to go look at other times it was introduced. Okay, so this would increase the federal minimum wage to $15 by 2025. So it would not happen overnight. The party, so Democrats, push for the measure for essential workers, right? Think about this. If you're like a frontline worker, you're putting your life on the line and you're not even making $15 an hour. That's sort of not cool. So these are all Democrats. House Speaker Pelosi, Senate Majority Leader Schumer, and the president support this. The vast majority of Republicans oppose it, and many small businesses worry it could hinder them. So what's the negative effect? What impact will this have on small business? Would this cost jobs, right? So as you raise the wage for people who are working, would it actually put some people out of work, right? And that's a concern that was actually addressed in that town hall that I mentioned the other night. Ooh, what is that about? So go ahead and read this. Notice it's been 725 since 2009. Okay, you can find this article yourself or several. So once right away, you know, okay, Democrats support raising the minimum wage, Republicans oppose it, or they at least oppose it to $15. Maybe the Republicans are like, oh, we're cool with $10. I don't know. I really don't know. I'd have to look myself. And notice that who controls the House and the Senate is probably makes a difference, but also what's going on in the world right now, maybe making a difference, right, with the pandemic. Putting more people out of work, I guess, would be a concern. So things to keep in mind. So you feel free to look that article back up if you wish. Okay, so here's some of the questions you want to think of to prepare yourself. What ideology supports a raise in minimum wage? Which ideology would be against it? And once again, the homework videos help you with this. Right away, we know from the news we just shared, right, that Democrats would be supportive of raising the minimum wage and Republicans would be against it. But political party is not the same thing as ideology. So that's why I put the note. It's not just a matter of Republicans, Democrats, or conservative or liberals. What part of their ideology is it that makes them support a raising a minimum wage or opposing a minimum wage? Does that make sense? As you go through that AP video, it will sort of hash that out for you. So try to think like, why is it that Republicans would oppose it? Why is it that Democrats would support it? So no, it's good to know this party's for this party's against it, but it's also good to know the why. Okay, then the next part is, how does ideology lead to legislation? I just shared you that news article. That's a good example. Okay, so look, when has it been proposed before? What have been the reasons before or against it? Okay, so I just showed you an example. Also, how would historical eras or political events impact people's political ideology? So that was right at the beginning of this unit. How did living through the Great Depression, World War II, the Watergate scandal, 9/11, would any of those things impact how people feel about minimum wage? All right. Now, also keep in mind how many people today are alive who were alive in the Great Depression or even World War II. Not too many. So here's a hint I'm going to give you. Try to focus on events of the past 20 years. All right. Obviously, we have coronavirus now. Keep in mind this FRQ was written before coronavirus. That does not mean that you can't bring it in because it's relevant, but I just want to put that in mind that was not in their mind when this question was written. Okay, so this is a website that just has the 12 memorable moments of the 21st century so far. So I'm just giving you this as a hint to you guys. Look through that. And what do you think? Have any of these events been economic in nature that would impact minimum wage? So we'll scroll through real quick. Times Square. All right. Smartphones. Okay. Social media. Wi-Fi, right? This is all stuff that deals with the economy, but it's not so much something that you think of minimum wage. Memes and emojis, yeah, probably not. Streaming, GPS, 9/11, that's one of those events. Does 9/11 really impact minimum wage, though? Right? Maybe it's increased taxes. I'm not sure about this. Okay, the Great Recession almost breaks us. Okay, what is a recession? Thinking of it as not quite a depression. So once again, economics. So I would take a minute and look, what is this about? Okay, um, the collapse of the housing bubble. The unemployment rate jumped from 5% to 9.5%. Housing prices, right? I would take a look at that. What's the next one? The sharing economy. So, you think, economy? It's more about things like Airbnb or whatever. But I don't know. Give it a look. Maybe you find it's relevant. The U.S. elects a new kind of president. I don't think that is. Women are more in power politically. Once again, it's not all these things affect the economy, but not so directly. Same-sex marriage, food insecurities. Okay, that deals with the economy, maybe. The ISS is online. That's cool, but climate change, recycling, electric cars, water on Mars. Hey, that perseverance, man, that's cool. We haven't even talked about that, have we? The Higgs boson, same thing. That's so a lot of science stuff, right? So I would go through and think, and if something you think stands out to you, go learn a little bit more about it. All right, that is a hint. Now, that does not mean that when you take the AP, the FRQ, they're going to expect you to know all this background information, right? So suppose you learn, hey, I know all the background information here, but at the same time, as you prepare for it, it's still going to help put you in mind what kind of things do you want to include. All right. Do we have any questions? Let me open the chat up in case. Oh, is Kenneth still here? She may have left already. I'm just about the recording, but yes, I am recording this. Any questions? Want to make sure you guys feel like prepared. Do you want me to go back to anything? Kadar's good. Okay, don't stress. It's actually, fairly simple as long as you understand the basics. The question itself will provide a lot of the background information you have, right? The background information will be in the question. This will just add you extra security. Cameron, go ahead.
So is the question going to just be like a question, or is it going to be like data or something like that?
It's not going to be one of those questions. That's a good question with like just a graph, right? It's not going to be one of the data questions, whatever it is, but it will have information in the question that will help you in crafting your answer, right? So it's gonna give you some background information, and then that will help you with it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Anything else? Nothing else? Nothing you want me to go back to? Okay, so like I said, a really big help will just be doing those AP videos to make sure you know the basic principles with the ideologies and all those things. You can go back and look at this again because I am recording it. So suppose you're like, oh, what's that website she shared? You can come back and Google it and you'll find it. So that's just a little, hopefully, way. Yes, some people stress. All right. So if there's no other questions, I'll be signing off. I'll see some of you tomorrow, and I'll see some of you Friday. And have a good evening.
Have a great day.
Bye, guys.